One match, one city, one pre-game statement that traveled further than any goal ever could. Iran versus Egypt in Seattle was supposed to be a football match. By the time the players walked out of the tunnel, it had become something else entirely. A diplomatic flashpoint, a test of FIFA's nerve, a collision between a global sporting circus and two of the most culturally guarded federations on the planet. This is something the World Cup has never quite seen before. Not at this scale, not on this stage, not with this much at stake on the pitch and off it. And if you think the statement Iran released before kickoff was just political noise, you have no idea what was already happening behind closed doors between Tehran, Cairo, and Zurich. Lumen Field, Seattle, Group Stage, Match Day 3. Iran, clinging to a sliver of qualification hope after a brutal opening fortnight. Egypt, with Mohamed Salah pulling the strings, needing a point to walk into the knockout round. On paper, a classic winner-go-home fixture. In reality, the football was almost the smallest part of the story, because the week leading into this match had been swallowed whole by something else entirely. Seattle pride was in full swing. The city was draped in rainbow, and the Iranian Football Federation, reportedly joined in correspondence by their Egyptian counterparts, had written to FIFA asking for clarity, for assurances, for guarantees about what would and would not be part of the official match program. The letter, as it has been reported, was direct. Iran wanted the pitch kept neutral. They wanted the pre-match ceremony kept to football, and they wanted FIFA to confirm, in writing, that no promotional activity tied to the city's pride celebrations would be embedded into the official broadcast window. The Egyptian Federation, according to multiple reports, sent a parallel note echoing similar concerns rooted in their own cultural and religious framework. Two federations, one message, sent straight to the top floor in Zurich. And then, hours before kickoff, Iran went public. Now on the surface, this looks like a federation picking a fight on the biggest stage in world football. But the second you look behind the curtain, the picture completely changes, because this was not a spontaneous outburst. This was the end of a chain of correspondence that, by the time it reached the public, was already weeks old. Start with the statement itself. Iran's federation, in its pre-match release, said it was participating in the World Cup, and I am quoting the reported language here, with full respect for the sporting nature of the competition and the expectation that the match environment reflects the universal values of football. Read that carefully, because what looks like diplomatic boilerplate is actually a line drawn in the sand. They were not threatening to walk off. They were not boycotting. They were telling FIFA in front of the world that the pre-match show had better be about football, nothing more. Then there's the Egyptian side of it. Salah's Federation, an organization that almost never comments on off-pitch politics during a tournament, reportedly added its own quiet pressure. Think about that. Two federations who agree on very little in regional politics, aligned on a single demand to FIFA in the space of 72 hours. When that happens, it is not coincidence. It is coordination. And then there's FIFA's response, which is where this story really tightens, because FIFA, according to the reporting, gave assurances, not a denial, not a dismissal, assurances. The official match program, they reportedly confirmed, would remain consistent with the standardized World Cup ceremonial format used at every fixture of the tournament. No special inserts, no host city additions inside the broadcast window. The city of Seattle could celebrate pride however it wished, in the fan zones, in the streets, on the waterfront. But the 90 minutes inside Lumen Field would look like every other 90 minutes of this World Cup. Sit with that for a second, because what FIFA effectively did was confirm that two member federations had successfully lobbied the governing body to ring-fence the broadcast. Quietly, without a press conference, without a statement of their own. Just a logistical assurance that ended a diplomatic standoff before a ball was kicked. And then there's the detail that really tells you how far this had escalated behind the scenes. Iran's traveling party had already spent the week dealing with everything else. visa delays for backroom staff, restricted media accreditations, a fan contingent a fraction of the size of what Tehran had projected. One Iranian journalist reporting from Seattle described the buildup as, and I am quoting, a tournament inside a tournament where the football is the easy part. When your own press corps is saying that out loud, you understand the pressure the squad was carrying onto that pitch. Now, zoom out. Because in the entire history of the World Cup, pre-match diplomatic correspondence between two competing federations and FIFA over the content of a ceremonial broadcast is almost without precedent at this stage of a tournament. 2022 had its armband controversy. 2018 had its political flashpoints around the host. 1978 had its junta. But a coordinated written pre-match intervention from two federations on opposite sides of a regional divide, aligned against a host city cultural program and resolved through quiet FIFA assurances rather than public confrontation. That is new. That is 2026. And the man caught in the middle of all of it, in the most football sense, was Alireza Bayramvand, Iran's goalkeeper, the human anchor of this entire campaign. If you do not know the name, you know the look. The shaved head, the long arms, the calm that borders on indifference. He had already been the difference in Iran's opening two matches, pulling saves out of nothing, keeping a team alive that had no business still being alive. Against Egypt, with Salah running at him, he was going to have to do it again. And he knew it. The problem? Egypt's attack, with Salah finally healthy and finally hungry on this stage, is the most dangerous front line Iran have faced in this tournament. And over the next 6 weeks, if Iran somehow scrape through, the road only gets harder. A potential round of 16 tie against a European heavyweight. A bracket designed to punish the survivors of group stage chaos. The football eventually has to do the talking. Let me be fair for a second, because this channel does not deal in fantasy. It is entirely possible that Iran's pre-match statement was, in part, a domestic political signal aimed at audiences back home, as much as it was a message to FIFA. It is entirely possible Egypt's federation was simply offering quiet solidarity rather than direct coordination. And it is entirely possible FIFA's assurances were always going to be the standard answer, regardless of who asked. All of that is fair, but that is exactly what makes this a flashpoint instead of a footnote. Because whether it was coordinated or coincidental, the outcome is the same. Two federations spoke. FIFA listened. The ceremony stayed neutral, and the broadcast went out exactly the way Tehran and Cairo wanted it to. Brick by brick, this is how modern World Cups are being shaped, not by what happens on the pitch, by what happens in the letters before kickoff, by the assurances given in private, by the federations who understand that the loudest message in football is sometimes the one delivered in a sealed envelope to Zurich. Brick by brick by brick, one match, one city, one statement that rewrote the pre-match playbook. Now I want to hear from you. Was Iran's pre-match message a legitimate cultural stand from a federation defending its values, or was it a calculated political move dressed up as a football statement? Drop your verdict in the comments. Subscribe, because we are deep into a World Cup that is already eating governing bodies alive. And trust me, this will not be the last Federation versus FIFA story we cover before the final whistle of the tournament. The football was the easy part. By now, nobody's surprised. I'll see you in the next one.